So we talked about yesterday how Jack Canfield had discovered that telling the truth is the only way forward and to set yourself free. So he discovered that the Los Angeles County Office of Education telling him the truth was the difference between winning the contract and losing it. He could have compromised on his integrity, but he decided instead to tell the truth sooner rather than later. Learning to speak your truth sooner is one of the most important success habits you will ever develop. In fact, as soon as you start asking yourself the question, I wonder when would be the best time to tell the truth, that's probably the best time to do it. It will be uncomfortable, probably, will create a lot of reactions, yep, but it is the right thing to do. Get into the habit of telling the truth faster. Ultimately, you'll get to the point where you have to say to yourself and think. That's when you become totally authentic and genuine in who you are. What you see is what you get. People will know where you stand. You'll be counted on to speak your mind when the appropriate time's right. But I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, I can hear you say. A lot of the times, people use the excuse that they don't want to hurt another person's feelings. Well, this is always a lie, really. If you ever catch yourself thinking this, what's really happening is you're trying to protect yourself from your own feelings. You're avoiding what you'll feel when they get upset. It's a coward's way out, and it simply delays in having all your cards on the table. This includes telling the kids you're getting a divorce, that the family is moving to another destination, daddy's got a new job, that you're going to have to lay off some staff members, that you're going to have to be taking a family vacation, you're not going to be taking a family vacation this year, that you have to put your family pet to sleep, that you aren't going to be able to deliver the order on the date that you're promised, or that you're lost a family nest egg in a bad stock deal or Bitcoin. Hiding the truth always backfires. The longer you withhold it, the more you diversify you to yourself and the others involved. You won't want to hear this, but, well, let's look at what Samuel Goldwyn said of MGM Studios. I don't want any yes men around me. I want everybody to tell the truth, even if it costs their jobs. Marilyn Tam was working as the divisional manager overseeing the operations of 320 stores of Miller's Outpost when her friend told her that Nike was planning to open up their own concept stores, and the CEO, Philip Knight, was interested in hiring her to oversee the project. Nike was frustrated because the sports shoes store, like Foot Locker, weren't displaying their clothing apparel in the way they properly portrayed it in Nike's lifestyle image. Because Marilyn thought working for Nike would be a great opportunity. She did some research prior to her meeting to visiting the number of stores and carried out Nike apparel so that it'd be ready to make a proposal to Phil about how to create a store that Nike would be proud to present to the world. As she did her research, she discovered two alarming things. The footwear was good, they're functional, durable, and they're well priced. But the apparel was a disaster. It was inconsistent in quality, sizing, durability. It was not integrated or color coordinated. She found out later that Nike's clothing line had been an afterthought in response to consumer demand for more Nike logo apparel. It had not been thought out in a coordinated way. Nike had simply gone out and bought good stock and put their own label on them. The company bought apparel from different manufacturers without consistent standards in size, quality, or colour. It was not an image that was really reflective of their brand. So Marilyn's dilemma was, in her desire to work for Nike, was in a conflict of her professional judgment about the products. Is she going to tell the truth? She was afraid that if she told Phil the product wasn't consistent with the brand image, that she shouldn't be in the stores, she wouldn't get the job. And she finally met with Phil Knight in Oregon, and the initial conversation about the potential of the new store concept was exciting. But as the conversation unfolded, Marilyn became more and more uncomfortable because she knew that she needed to tell him the truth about the quality of the merchandise and her belief that the stores would fail ahead without first creating a standardized and integrated product line. But she hesitated because she feared that in haste to get the stores up and running, he'd just find someone else to do it for him. After 2 hours, she finally spoke up and told Phil that Nike's shoes were great, but if they were going to do a concept store based on apparel, she thought the stores would instantly fail because the products would not reflect what Nike actually stood for. Just as she feared. Her disclosure ended the conversation rather quickly. She flew back to California, wondering if she had done the right thing. She felt that she'd probably lost any chance of getting a job there, and she'd felt good about having told the truth. 2 weeks later, Phil Knight called her and told her he had reconsidered what she'd said. He had done his own research on the quality of the merchandise and agreed with her assessment of the situation. He offered her the job as the Vice President of Apparel and Accessories for Nike. He told her, "You come, fix the goods, then we open the stores." As you probably know, the rest is history. Though the decision to held up the Nike stores opening by about 2 years, the apparel division has huge growth, and the concept stores have helped Nike continue to expand and take an ever greater hold on the UK and world imagination. Conversations like that one Marilyn Tam and Phil Knight had were definitely comfortable and difficult, but the people who had mastered the art of those difficult but crucial conversations are the ones who advanced and furthered their careers as a result of it. If you need to have critical and crucial conversations, the kind where emotions run high and opinions vary greatly, there are some guidelines that we can tell you to help you. The first one is to stop scaring yourself in advance of the conversation by escalating the facts into something truly frightening in your mind. Most people presuppose what the other party will do when they hear about the matter. This process of telling ourselves a story and attaching feelings to it is what happens and it really takes mere nanoseconds to appear in your mind. If you have to have a crucial conversation, but stop yourself by saying, "I'm afraid of how they'll react," or "I don't know how to begin," realize that the issue you're failing to address is probably not going to go away. No matter how much you ignore it, these situations, it's helpful to have a formula that not only steps you through the conversations, but also helps both of you determine a solution in the process. So here's some clues how to do this. To begin, determine your motivation for having the conversation, whether it's merely to express yourself or get something off your chest, or eventually to solve a problem. Make sure you schedule enough time in to have that conversation. Plan your conversation in advance by crafting a clear message that keeps you on track. Start with the facts that actually happen or is happening versus the story that you may have made up in your head. How will you report the facts of the situation? Be sure to separate the actual facts from the feelings you've attached to the situation or event. After reporting the facts, ask the other person, "How do you see this? What do you think the impact is?" Oftentimes we presuppose or imagine some horrible reaction or consequences without knowing what the other person's actual experience of the situation is. Ask the other party what they would like to do to resolve the matter. If in fact you're looking for a resolution, sometimes simply expressing yourself might be the actual goal itself. And finally, if you decide to resolve the issue, agree on what document the actions and document the actions that you'll both take, but when you will take them and how you will follow up with each other. And I'll see you tomorrow.